I have a quick reminder. So this is the session on how to conduct a counseling session. I'm Dr. Rachana Awatramani. I have a quick friendly reminder for people who've just joined in to please mute yourself. Okay, you can feel free to put your questions, anything that you want to ask me, tell me on the chat group. So you can just say hi, hello, good evening, anything that you feel like saying on the chat group, even right now, so that we know this is where we communicate with each other from. And also feel free to keep your cameras on. It's always nice to see you guys while talking on the screen. At least I know you guys are with me. And also using the chat group helps me to know that you're understanding of what I'm talking. Hello, good evening. Nice. So messages have started coming on the chat group, which is nice. Rita, Manish, request you to please mute yourself. Good evening, Ananya, Kajal, Megha, Manpreet. Hello, good evening. Great. So welcome all of you for the session. I'm very excited to conduct this session because, being in the field of counseling for so many years, this is a platform and an opportunity to share my experience with you. Pleasure to be here with you all from Afaq. Thank you so much, Afaq, for being with us in this session. Thank you, everybody who's participating. I might miss some names, Sadia, Swati. Great. Okay. So what is the agenda today? What are we planning to learn? This is a session on how to conduct a counseling session. So I'm hoping there are people from counseling background, there are students who want to be psychologists, who want to be counselors. So it's a great opportunity, I guess, for me to share my experience with all of you guys. A little bit more about me, I'm going to say during the session and share about my experience as well. But today's learning agenda on how to conduct a counseling session will be to understand what is counseling, what happens in a counseling session, why it's so crucial to talk about, how to start a counseling session, and did you know this? So I'm going to keep this as a surprise for all of you. By the end of the session, you will know something which very few people share with you. A lot of time you don't learn this in the books, you don't learn when you are doing your academic. Okay, so this will be something that I'm sharing with all of you with 11 years of experience. I'm Dr. Rachana Awatramani. I have a PhD in counseling psychology, master's in counseling psychology. I have worked with various organizations around the world. And as I said, been 11 years, more than 1 lakh people is where I've helped them achieve their emotional and mental health goals. My company is called Insight Counseling Services. Today, an amazing team of Sukoon has helped me to conduct this session and reach out to all of you guys. So as I've given my introduction, I would like to know a little bit about you guys also. So just in one word, if you can tell me, what do you do? Are you a student? Are you studying psychology? Are you practicing psychology? Do not unmute yourself. Put it in the chat group. That will be great. Okay. Anybody who's joined now, I'm going to give a reminder. Please keep yourself on mute so that we are not disturbed during the session by any background noise. Okay. You can see and meet my team even on insightcounselors.com, and you will know more about our work. Okay. So we are starting, and as I start, and as I told you, I've given my introduction, I would love to hear on what you guys do in one word or a couple of words. If you can tell me, what do you do? So I know who I'm talking to. Okay, we have 24 people. I know a lot of you guys, some of them were even there in the previous session. I know how many of you attended my first session on effective listener, being a more effective listener. Anybody from here attended that session? You can see a lot of faces, a lot of names that I have seen in the previous session as well. We have an educationist, we have a civil engineer, we have a psychology student, we have a biotechnologist, amazing, studying counseling psychology. Anyone who attended a session last time, Swati, clinical psychology, counseling, engineer. So nice to see people from different backgrounds want to know how to conduct a counseling session. You've completed your counseling master's, Sadia. Great, awesome. So a lot of you would know what is counseling, especially students. I'm assuming a lot of students would know what is counseling. How do you define counseling? The provision of professional assistance and guidance in resolving personal or psychological problems. This is what is counseling. This is what happens in the counseling process. This is what you do. People who've just joined in, please keep yourself on mute. My co-host, if you can just make sure people are on mute. So when you provide a professional help to somebody to achieve their personal or psychological goal is what counseling is, right? A lot of time, I heard this during my initial stage of professional life, where people said, "Arey, aap to baat karne ka paisa lete ho." Like you're taking money, you're charging money to talk to people. But am I just casually talking to you? Is it the same, how you talk to your friend or your mom or your teacher? Is it the same when you talk to a counselor? It's not at all same. Because, exactly, Swati, thank you. Not at all. It's not same because the counselor is trained to collaborate with you. Okay, it's an effort that a counselor puts to collaborate with you. She's trained to practice a lot of non-judgment, being empathetic, being a good listener. If you've missed a good listener series, you will get it on the YouTube link. You can go and watch it. Okay. So the counseling is a trained profession where they collaborate, put effort, and a client and a counselor work together to achieve their goals. So professional counselor will help clients identify goals and potential solution to problems which cause emotional turmoil. So again, I'm going to correct myself over here by saying we are not providing any solution. It's a trained way to helping clients to figure out their own solution. Counseling is not only talking, it has so much more to it. Absolutely. It's not only just about talking, there is so much more to it. It's so nice to see all of you guys sharing this with me and being on the same page. So, counselor will seek to improve communication, coping skills of the client, strengthen their self esteem, and also promote behavior change and also help them achieve great mental health, right? So, there is so much more to counseling. This is a technical definition as well as, a little bit about how I have done counseling um, throughout my journey of being a psychologist and a counseling psychologist. It's a lot to do with observing while talking. Yes, there are so many different skills. When you look at counseling as a whole, you will say there's non-judgmental, not only talking, there is listening, there is empathy. You help clients with so many different concerns. However, there are so many these small skills that you need to keep developing. And if you miss any of it in the process, it becomes very challenging. So today I'm going to share about how the counseling process is divided and how it can be easy for you. It needs to be in your system. It cannot be like a reminder, okay? It needs to be practiced so well that it's in your system, okay? How common is mental health concerns, emotional concerns? 1 in 5 people were facing some or the other mental health concerns last year. This happened because of a lot of turmoil happened. In fact, more than that, I think 1 in 4 people were going through a lot of anxiousness as well. But however, we have limited access to the research and the data and the kind of information we get through the research department and the people who are working in this field. There are so many people going through emotional concerns, emotional problems, daily challenges, and one way to help them is counseling. So what happens in a counseling session? A lot of y'all said counseling is not only about talking. Okay, is counseling only about listening? When a client speaks and you listen, हम तो सिर्फ सुनते हैं, हम कुछ नहीं बोलते हैं, हम तो solution भी नहीं देते हैं, हम कुछ नहीं करते, हम सिर्फ सुनेंगे. आप आओ, vent out करो, चले जाओ. Swati saying no, Harleen saying no. A couple of introductions. Is someone pursuing undergrad in psychology in Delhi University, Chester, if I'm not saying it wrong. Hello, just read your message. It also requires evidence-based intervention. Swati, you're using amazing technical words here, which is great. Of course, we need to do intervention, but I'm going to come to talk about intervention soon. Right now, the question to all of you is, client speaks and I listen. Is that what you do? Is that the only thing we do? Do we do that? No, we don't only listen. However, listening skills are extremely, extremely, extremely important. Okay, because that's the first thing in the process of counseling, right? Actively listening, yes. And if you've missed the session, as I said, I will share the link with all of you so you can have access to the free session that we conducted last time on being a more effective listener. Anybody who joined in now and has attended my previous session and want to share their feedback, you can just raise your hand, put a chat message to me, and I will allow you to speak. Okay, because it's nice for people to know. Riddhi, yes, did you attend the session last time? I want you to unmute yourself and share a little bit about the previous session, if you can.
Yes, ma'am, sure. Can you hear me right?
Yes.
All right. So I couldn't actually attend the session, but I asked for the recording link from you. And you were kind enough to share that with me. And I did find the time to watch the complete session. And I must say that it had some really insightful insights and really practical tools that even I could make use of when I was listening to my friend lately. And the mindfulness tool that you shared of coming back to the five senses and coming back to the conversation of listening, that really helped me to as I would say, become a better listener. And the best part about your session was that everything that you said, including the tools and the insights, that it was very, very practical and not, like the usual sessions that we have these days that are just theoretical. So I could make sense of most of the tools, and especially like I mentioned, the coming back to the five senses wala tool, that made a lot of sense to me, and I practically used it. And I am really looking forward to more of such sessions with you, ma'am. Thank you so much for whatever.
Awesome. That is so kind of you, Riddhi, to share your experience. I know you went through the recording, but I'm so glad even the recording helps, in building that kind of skills that I'm talking about, because it's hands-on activity. As Riddhi said, it's made with the whole intention that you learn practical knowledge from my experience and not only theoretical. I'm not going there. You're doing that in college. I want to tell you what happens in real life. And I'm so glad it is coming across like that, because that is what my intention is for all you young psychologists. So thank you so much, Riddhi. I'm going to move ahead and move to the main part right now. What are the 5 steps of counseling? This is what you do in a counseling setup. This is how you conduct a counseling session. Okay, of course, this session is very small, so I'm not going to be able to go in details of each and every step, but I'm going to tell you these are the most important steps. Initial disclosure. What do you do in initial disclosure? I'm going to tell you by the end of the session how to start a counseling session, by the way. So initial disclosure and relationship building. In relationship building, one skill is listening skills, which I've already provided you a lot of content online, and you can write to us and we'll provide you the recording if you've missed it. Initial disclosure, relationship building is the first step you do, whether even you're talking to somebody. Like I know a lot of you, some of you, in fact, I know personally, even Afaq, coming from a business field, maybe not practically using counseling as a process with a client, but even these 5 steps are so important in client communication. Like you start the communication by initial disclosure, introduction, what you do, hi, hello, where I'm from, what do you do, right? This is the basic introduction. And there is a lot of things like terms and conditions. There are so many confidentiality protocols that you talk about in this initial disclosure as a counselor. Then relationship building. How do you build a relationship at the initial stage with a client? I'm going to share my experience. Once, I was talking to a young counselor, and I went there and I was like, this was one of my interns, and I was actually doing a demo, and I was the client and she was the counselor. And at that point of time, she started asking me, okay, so what is your name? Where do you come from? And what is your age? Can you give me your email address? And I'm like, I don't want to do all of this right now. I want to talk about my problem. I've come here, I want to talk about my problem. I'm going through something. I don't want to discuss my name, my address, and my telephone number with you. Okay, I can do that later. So the easiest way a counselor does this is a registration form, so that I already have your details and I don't have to go through this when the session starts. Okay, or you are so skilled and trained that in conversation you say and you get the information out about all the details that you need from the person to put it in your records. But you cannot just say, you know what, no, this is important for me, but I'm going to fill up my form first. You're not important to me. So that's your first step. Is the client important or your form filling is important? Okay, is your data information? Of course, data is important, but your client's emotions are important because they are more real. They need more help. They've come to you because they're going through emotional pain. Okay, that's when you move ahead, and when you start listening, when you start introducing, you do paraphrasing. That's when you start talking about problem assessment. Two things over here. Understand what is the main problem and what are the supporting things, because a lot of time when people share, like right now, the main thing that you're learning is how to conduct a counseling session. And what were the other things that we were talking about is about myself, about somebody's experience, about interacting with you guys. All this is supporting information, right? The main agenda is what? How to conduct a counseling session, correct? So you need to assess what is happening. What is the problem? What's the main problem? What's the main agenda? And that's when you will understand this only when you are listening properly, when you're actively listening and practicing paraphrasing. You build good rapport with the person, so then assessment becomes easier for you. Goal setting, I just want to talk about a very, very simple agenda over here. Okay, so will you ask the client what is, let's do goal setting. Tell me, what is goal setting? Let's do goal setting. What are the goals that you want to achieve? It's a very harsh way to say. This is not like a coaching session. It's a very emotionally vulnerable session, right? The client might just be overwhelmed. Client might just be crying. Okay. So how about this? I'm going to say a couple of sentences and you're going to tell me in chat group, how did you feel? Okay. If you're a client and I've reached to goal setting aspect, and these are the statements that I'm using, listen to it carefully and tell me in the chat group, how are you feeling? Okay. I understand that you're going through this, and I understand that it's been a very difficult situation for you. At this point of time, I appreciate and acknowledge you that you've taken the step to work on yourself. It will help me better to understand your needs if you can tell me, what do you expect from me in this session? How did you feel when I said all of this? Soothing, relaxing. Okay, good. Resolving, feeling comfortable. Isn't all that the goal of a counselor? Acknowledged? Yes. Isn't all of these words, these amazing words that you all are, feeling when I said those statements? The second statement is something I, as a client, would want to hear. Great. So all of these things that I'm saying, appreciated, Do you feel that these are the goals as a counselor to actually make your client feel and experience and go through it? You're going through a positive outcome, but we are also, if you see, I asked the client by the end of it, what is it that you're expecting from me and this session, so that I am clear where to move on. So I'm going to give my suggestion, but you are trained. You're not going to give your suggestion. Okay, you are trained. You're not here to give a solution. This is a phase. You're not someone to do that. You're trained people. A psychologist, that's the difference between a friend and and you as a professional, right? That's the difference between a random person in the train, or a random person in the bus, or a teacher, or a parent, or your best friend, because they're not trained in non-judgment, helping you to achieve your emotional goals. Over here, I'm addressing, acknowledging your feeling. I have assessed that you've gone through so and so problem, okay, for so long. Can you tell me now, where do you want to go? Right? What is it that you want to achieve through counseling? And the person might just say, I'm feeling sad, I just want to vent out. Then you just know, okay, I just need to be. The client says, no, I think I want to work on my behavior. I want to change my behavior. I want to be less aggressive. I want to increase my self-esteem. That's when you start building goals. Okay, so how do we achieve that? That's the collaboration time, when you start doing intervention. Up kaun si therapy kare, right? So personally, I believe different individuals will need their different interventions, different therapies. Yes, Sadia, absolutely. We are trying to help the client to make their own decisions, their own solutions. And that's how but that goal setting needs to come, right? The person needs to know where he's moving ahead. Otherwise, this person is just coming and talking. Sometimes that is also the need, and it's absolutely okay. I've had a client who didn't speak for 6 sessions at all. He used to just come and sit because it's comfortable, needed some silence time. It's okay. It's fine. That's my job to be. But if I'm uneasy with that, that means I'm not doing something fine. And I ask the client, you want to leave? You can leave. I said, no, I just want to sit. Like, okay, I'm here in case you need anything. Right? 7 session clients started talking. Why? Because 6 sessions, it took that girl to build trust, to have faith on me and start talking. So it needs a lot of patience as well. So intervention, lot of therapies, lot of behavior therapy, psychoanalysis, positive psychology is come now, REBT, behavior therapy, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. So many therapies are there. Based on the goal setting, you will know which technique and which tool to provide the client. That's when happens बाद में. Abhi the new students will feel, chalo client aa gaya, hi, hello, how are you? Let's do REBT. Why? Because teacher taught REBT the other day in the class, So I want to apply it. No, it's not like that. We can't do that. Okay. And then comes the termination. So abhi ho gaya, mera case bhar gaya, interns, this is how they do. Mera case ban gaya, I have to submit it in my journal. I am done. Tata, bye bye. You see yourself. You are responsible as a therapist to give a termination to the session. Does the client need another session? Are you giving client any homework? Okay, the client needs something to work at home and then come back and tell you that, okay, I worked on this. Now let's move ahead to the next step. Okay, so the follow-up session is required. When do we do the follow-up? Sometimes client might not need a follow-up session. So how do we terminate? So these are the things you're going to focus on, work on, and if required, I'm here for you. If required, okay, this is the homework, you will work on it. Anything you get stuck, reach out to me at so-and-so time, or this is your follow-up appointment, right? That's the termination of one session. Now, termination of entire client, like somebody who's coming to you for 6 months, and now you need to terminate the therapy because eventually you need to make your client independent. He's not dependent on you. Rose aake rona, then it's pity party. In emotional independence needs to happen, right? That's when it's success of you as a therapist, as you as a counselor. So that termination is different. Session termination is different. These are the process. I'm going to do a quick summary over here. Anybody wants to write anything, feel free to write on the chat group. Okay. Initial disclosure, you will build a rapport, build good relationship with the client, use your amazing listening skills. If you missed it, watch the video. Problem assessment, know what's the main idea, what's the supporting idea, appreciate, acknowledge, understand what they're expecting, and that's when you do goal setting. Once you understand what are they expecting from you, pick up one technique, one tool at a time. Tell them, let's work on this. And be flexible. If the client is not comfortable working on it, work with another tool. Not necessarily every tool will work with every client. Okay? Decide on intervention and then you will come slowly on termination where you will say, okay, so let's see if we need a follow-up session. This is your homework, etc. Perfect. Do you understand? Was it a good? Great. I can see a lot of thumbs up in the video, which is nice. Great. Why is it so crucial? Why am I talking about counseling? Why I decided to share my knowledge as a professional with all of you youngsters? I'll tell you why. Because during this lockdown, I saw a lot of interns were not getting practical, knowledge. They were not meeting the clients. They were not going and meeting the therapists. Therapists didn't have the opportunity and the time to spend with the, new students. That was one. Second, one of my seniors told me this, and I'm going to share this, a very personal experience, that when I was interning, and one of my senior therapists at that point of time told me that being a therapist is so difficult or so challenging because if a surgeon is doing a surgery in an operation theater, and a patient dies, that's the worst that can happen, right? If a surgeon makes a mistake or something happens, a person will die. That's the end of life, right? But if a counselor, if a therapist, if a psychologist goes wrong with her words, with his words, that person will die within, will be alive and carry those words all his life. That is why I feel it's so crucial. That is why I feel it is so, so important to create amazing, good therapists. Every therapist has their own style. Not necessarily you have, a style like mine to talk to clients. Every client will connect to their therapist in a different way. And that's okay. Create your style. Basics are same. Your style might be different. Basics are same. And I'm here to teach you those basics. Okay. And when we are mentally healthy, we can realize our abilities, cope with stress, work productively, contribute to the society. That's when you will be a good psychologist. If you are able to do all of these things, then of course you will be able to help people out there. Okay. And the question is, are you trained well for this? I'm not going to answer that because if you are trained for this or no, or you need more training. Great. All okay? Still here? Did you sink in all the information? A quick hi, hello, thumbs up in the chat group. In the chat group will be great. So unmute yourself. Okay. So I will know you guys are with me. Thank you, Regine. It's helpful. Yes. Good. Great. Great. Nice. Feels good that you guys are still here in the session with me. Otherwise, I will feel I've opened a presentation and talking to myself. Thank you so much, Kaina. Thank you for being with me. So how do I start my session? This is a demo that I'm giving you, that this is how I start a session with my client. Okay. There's an initial introduction. Anytime somebody comes, now it's on Zoom, right? My client comes on the Zoom, he's a new client. This is how I start the session. Okay. So I'll say, hi, how are you? And understand they've already filled up a form on my website. I'm going to put my website here. Over here, you will get both. You will get the listening audio, the free one, and the paid class both. You will also get to see the form that I make them fill up before the session. Okay. So when they're booking an appointment, that's when they fill up the form. So I don't have to take anything else from them. Okay. So once they come on the Zoom or they're in front of me and I'm sitting in front of me, we say, hi, hello, how are you? And start with initial introductions. I always ask them, have you been to counseling session before or is this your first time? So if they say, this is my first time, or I've been to a counselor before, but it was a different experience. I don't know. It's been a long time. And whatever is the response. Next thing I always say is, great, no worries. I will just give you a brief before we start. Okay. So I'm Dr. Rachana. I'm a counseling psychologist with 11 years of experience. I have been helping people achieve their emotional goals. I work for issues like anxiety, depression, relationship problems, and etc. You can ask me more questions about me later if you feel. A little bit of the terms and conditions, specifically about the confidentiality, I would like to share with you. I'm sure you read all the terms on the website. However, if you've not, I would want to focus on confidentiality, which is whatever you and I speak is confidential until unless there is harm to yourself or harm to somebody else's life through you, or in certain legal problems. I am not entitled to keep confidentiality. I hope that is clear. If you have any questions related to this, do let me know. And they will say, okay, nothing right now. I say anytime, as in one questions come in, you can tell me. So the first question, this is my initial introduction when they come for the first time. Okay. Okay, Riddhi, I'm going to answer that question in a while. Okay, let me just finish the flow for this, how to start a session. Okay, so initially when you do this, you talk about the confidentiality policy, you talk about the initial introduction. Then you can, of course, ask the person, can you tell me something about you? Or what brings you here? Okay, these are two questions that can be your best friends at the initial introduction time. After your introduction, after a little bit of terms and conditions, you can ask them about yourself. And the rapport building, the biggest skill, as I always say, is listening. Listening skill not done, go to the site, get it done today itself. Okay, any questions in this flow? If you have any questions, and I told you, if you want to know the terms and conditions, you want to know my script, you will get everything on the website itself. In fact, next Saturday, I'm doing a proper session, a proper training session where I will be sharing with all of you the script of my session that you can actually use with the client. Step-by-step training on how to conduct a counseling session. Because today I know we have limited time, so I have covered briefly on 5 steps. I have initially given you a startup on how you can start talking to the client. But apart from that, practical, what do you say, experience, interaction, a demo with script, everything is something that is happening next Saturday. And Sukoon team is going to share the details with all of you guys on that as well. Okay, so did you know this? This is the secret of my practice, as I said, of 11 years, that I want to share that how did this happen so smoothly with me? How did this happen so easily with me? Because one thing that I did for myself is that I acknowledged my feelings. If I was feeling a little sad, if I was feeling a little upset, I was acknowledging it. I continuously worked on my self-awareness. Okay, one of the technique of my self-awareness of 5 senses that Riddhi was talking about is shared in the video. Self-development, self-care. What is your mental health routine? What is your mental health routine? Do you have a mental health routine? Yes or no? Do you have any mental health routine? As a mental health professional, what is your mental health routine? Okay, so we need to understand, do you have all of these things in place or no? So if you don't have all of these things in place, please fill up that form that Sukoon team has shared with you, because next weekend, we are going to do a proper training with only limited people. This is going to be where I'm going to share all of these things in details, with detailed scripts, with detailed practice. I'm going to do practice sessions with you. Okay, so fill up that form and that'd be great. Second thing that I want you to know is, do you know how to connect with your clients? And most importantly, do you also know how to disconnect with your clients? So connection to your working, you're connecting with developing skills, you're listening, empathy, communication skills. You keep developing your skills with education, with practice, with experience? Do you know how to disconnect from your clients? Do you know how to not let it impact your personal life? Is this a cakewalk, this profession? No, it's not. There's a lot of self work that is involved in this. Okay. A lot of people I can see joined in from our field itself who are professionals as well. You can see some participants who are already in the field. Can also share something in the chat group and, uh, share about their experience. Is it easy to connect, disconnect, self awareness? How is the whole experience? You love it, you enjoy it, you're passionate about it. But you need to understand that this job also comes with a lot of self work that we need to be aware of. Okay, if my mental health is not fine, how am I supposed to take care of somebody else? That disconnection needs to be there. Very difficult to disconnect. Thank you so much, Riddhi. Now Riddhi is sharing the experience. I had one more Riddhi before the sharing experience. Now we have Riddhi Gulecha saying very difficult to disconnect. Yes, it is not easy to disconnect from your client. So you young students need to know this from the beginning, not after 5 years when you're all drained, burn out. Now I want to change my profession. Okay, if you know from the beginning, then it's easy for you to go on for a longer time in this profession. Do you need a counselor? As a counselor, do you need a counselor? I will say yes, I have a counselor. A lot of professionals have a counselor. Of course, if you are a psychologist, that does not mean that you don't need a therapist. Of course, we all need that support system. Okay, so going to a therapist for your personal concerns, going to a therapist to discuss your cases, your sessions, great, awesome practice. One of the things that you can put into your mental health practice will be great. Okay, and it's time when you're comfortable seeking one. So you will know that nobody else can decide that for you. Stay in touch on Instagram. You will see a lot of videos where I'm going to put in every day, in fact, new video talking about mental health, importance of mental health, various tools and techniques you can get over there. And YouTube, you will get a lot of the old sessions that I have taken and you were not able to attend. You can get it on YouTube. Reach out to me anytime you have any questions. You have a case and you feel you're stuck, you didn't know what to do. Feel free to reach out. I'll be very happy to help you. Next Saturday, 5 p.m., I'm going to do a session which will be on, I think, like literally in peanuts. This is what the Sukun team was telling me. Like, this is peanuts that we are trying to charge you for the kind of training that we are going to provide you. So the session is going to be the very minimum cost next time with all the steps one by one, scripts coming out to you guys. Everything will be shared in next Saturday. Then we have very limited seats. We're not taking a lot of students because I want to do practice with all of you. So we'll have limited seats. Please fill up the form that Sukoon team shared with you guys. And if you have any questions, ask me. Very happy to answer those. Okay. So, Riddhi, over here, I have a question. I have something to say on your question that you asked about disconnecting and terminating. Disconnecting with a client for you emotionally is different, and terminating a counseling relationship is different. They're two different things, and I think you're merging both the concepts. Am I able to disconnect emotionally, or I'm getting nightmares about the client, or I'm thinking about the client with my next session? That is one disconnection which we need to learn. Terminating a counseling session is, you need to understand when you start a counseling session, when you talk about the initial disclosure and terms and conditions, your client needs to know that eventually counseling sessions are going to get over. Okay, that's one word of putting it. Second, slowly during the process, the client needs to increase the distance between you and the client's communication. So for example, I meet a client once a week for 3 times, then once in 2 weeks, then once in 3 weeks, then once in 4 weeks, then once in 2 months, things like that, so that it happens slowly. You cannot suddenly tell the client, oh, now I want to terminate this because you are finding it unhealthy. Who is this unhealthy for the client or for you? That's the question. Okay, and if client is not ready to go because client has not got what do you say, not achieved emotional goals through the session, therefore it's not ready to go. Okay, so somewhere that professionalism needs to be so good that this problem does not arise. And if it arises, you need to understand, if the client feels too attached to you, you can always pass it on to someone else. So there are all these protocols, as I said, for starting, you connecting with the client, you disconnecting with the client, you starting going through the process, as I shared these 5 steps over here: initial disclosure, relationship, problem assessment, goal setting, intervention, then termination. ये process है, इसमें से एक भी process आपने miss किया, फिर ये सब problems होता है clients के साथ. Okay? Client is in love with you, you are in love with the client, you are crushing on client, the client is crushing on you. All of these things will happen. Okay? Because steps didn't happen properly. Okay. Most welcome. Okay, there is also one question earlier which came in, said continuous intervention therapy that goes on for years altogether, healthy as shown as in international TV shows. Having a counseling session for long term, which means I'm doing servicing of my गाड़ी, है ना? रोज रोज नहीं लेके जाते ना गाड़ी को मैकेनिक के पास या सर्विसिंग के लिए. That means there is something more serious, right? Once you reach a stage where you just go for servicing, that means once in 2 months, once in a month, fine, it's healthy. You can't call a client once a week. And it also depends on client to client, issue to issue. So it's not, what do you say, universal law कि सबको therapy के लिए हर once a week जाना चाहिए. Okay, it depends on person to person, issue to issue. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Team Sukoon, for doing all this, being so active, reaching out to so many students and getting all of them here for this session. And a lot of you guys who joined in, Afaq, Riddhi, some of you guys I know, known faces, known names. Thank you so much for joining in and showing your support for this session. Means a lot. Any feedback, any questions, please feel free to write on the chat group. We're going to end the session in next 2 minutes. Thank you so much, Sadia. Thank you. Good to hear. We can get previous recording. Yes, Silvag, you can get previous recording. Just send me a WhatsApp. I'll make sure you just WhatsApp me an email address and you will get it. That's my WhatsApp number. Okay?
Can I say something?
Yes. Cheshta, is that right?
Right.
Okay, I was struggling to say it.
Completely fine. This is a normal thing. Okay, so first of all, hello everyone. Chishta Davda this side. I'm a second year student, and I'm not like a very professional like all of you here. I'm just a beginner in this particular field. But I must say, like, ma'am, I always complained about this to my parents that, even if I'm studying the subject, I'm a person who needs to experience it. Then only I can gain interest. It's not always about the theoretical thing for me or ratifying the things and everything. So I guess I thank Team Sukoon and you as well. I guess this was the perfect opportunity that I needed, and I was longing for this since a very long time. And it was a very great opportunity, and I felt like I was actually experiencing the things that I study in my textbook. So thank you so much. It was great attending this session.
Thank you for your feedback, and I'm so glad you shared that. And I'm sure there are so many others also might be feeling what you are feeling as a student. There are a lot of students today in this session. So I really encourage you guys to take this, that, it took me very long to put this up and share it with the students, because I could see my interns struggling with, getting that practical knowledge. They just have to do 10 hours, 30 hours online with the therapist submitted in the college. That does not make you a therapist. It's a hardcore job. Okay, so please join in for our next weekend class. Definitely. And learn more. Yeah,
I have issues between when you explain the 5 steps. So will I be able to assess the recording just to make the notes properly, like in detail?
You'll get this recording. We are going to put all this recording on YouTube also, so you can get it on my YouTube.
Okay, right. I'll subscribe.
Yes. Okay, I have Afaq who wants to say something.
Yes, Rachana, thank you. I'll just make it very brief. I remember I just met you for the first time with a lot of my issues in 2012, and it's 9 years now. What I want to learn from you in future is, I have been mentoring many people. There comes a time where there is no personal improvement on that. There is a lot of procrastination, and there are many things over there where I find that I need to suggest that you can go for another level where a professional is involved, a counseling psychologist. And there comes the issue, there comes the problem, because the other person thinks that there is a lot of sharing has happened to this person and he's trying to distance himself now. So there is a lot of vulnerability where something might be shared with somebody else, or that kind of a situation. Or I want to learn that from you, and that is what I have been trying to get connected to you for a quite long time now, but it happened today.
Yeah. So I hope that this helped you a little bit, this session to start with, because I know from mentoring to, referring to people and also being there, like a first aid as well, becomes sometimes challenging. One, because if we don't come from psychology background, that's why. Second,
Yes.
it's also because everybody is different. So even if I'm from a psychology background, sometimes, as I said, a lot of psychologists tend to do the same therapy with everybody. But you need to understand crocin will not work with everybody, right? It's a different medicine for different persons. So as a professional, we need to pick up that. So I think this is what you want me to add more technical training. I would really hope to see you next Saturday, where we will be doing all of these things in detail.
Sure.
And it's been a long time. I know you've been to all my sessions from so many years. So thank you always for being there.
I mean, you were the one who fetched the torch for my curiosity to know how human mind works. One point I realized that unless I know how human mind works, I will not be able to resolve my own issues in life. And that's where you came in my life. I still remember your session in May 2012. And my life has been really tremendously different now. I owe a lot of thanks to you. Let me say it today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, we have one more sharing. I can't see your name. I can see your hand. I can't see your name.
Can I speak?
Yes.
My name is Gulnar.
Gulnar. Yeah. Now, when you did unmute, I think it came up. Tell me.
Good evening, ma'am. So, first of all, I would like to really thank you for the session. It was an amazing session. Ma'am, I have two questions. The first question is, how can we deal with transitions? Because we as students have to leave our house and, go to a different place to study, or for that matter, even leave our house for 5 days and go and stay with somebody else. Our generation, I feel, is not really prepared for transitions because we don't really experience that. We are in a cozy environment and we don't want the change to happen. So how can we deal with transitions? And another question that I have is about counseling itself. It is so well I'm sorry about the background noise. It is portrayed so negatively that बात ही तो करनी है, हम ही कर लेते हैं. Why to waste so much money? I mean, money comes into play. So as this year's World Mental Health Day theme is mental health in an unequal world. So how can we reduce that unequalness of accessibility to resources, unequalness to approachability and acceptance, first of all, that mental health matters?
Yeah, correct. Mental health matters, and it's come a long way from where I was, 10, 11 years ago when I started. It was very different than today. So I'm going to start with the second question because that's where I started talking. So of course, it was very different then. People didn't know psychologist kaun hai, mental health kya hai. Today, people are openly talking about it everywhere. So there is a change. There is difference, right? So it will keep evolving, and it just needs to keep evolving with time. Everybody is putting in efforts in their own way to do that. I always feel it's important for you to know to go to the right places, to know the facts about mental health, and not go ahead only random information that is coming about mental health. Okay, so it will change where people used to talk about दोस्तों से बात करना है, बात करने के पैसे लेते हैं. Today, do people pay me 5,000 rupees for a session? Okay, that shift has happened. So it's not that it doesn't come. It's also how you take that thing forward. Okay, that's extremely important. If you know, if you learn to put yourself out there and say, this is my job, not my social work, this is my job, I'm doing a job over here. So how you look at it matters, and how you see the difference coming in the world also matters. If people tell you दोस्तों से बात करके भी solution मिल जाता है, great, they're very good support system. Okay, sometimes try a counselor, take one session, you'll know the difference. Go try it. Don't give explanation, go try it. You know, पहले people बोलते थे, oh, you can read my mind, oh, you're a psychologist, you are so scared of me. People used to not talk to me. Okay, so because then I started explaining, oh, psychologist is this, psychologist is that, because I was also young and I was giving explanation to people. Now when people say, oh, you read my mind, I say, yeah, absolutely. Did you just think that? What did you just think? I can't read minds, okay? But now I make fun of it. I start taking it on lighter note. So you will evolve. You will learn to answer those questions with time. Okay? As this changes happen, that change is also part of life. Your comfort zone to an uncomfort zone. And that famous quote on Instagram which says, life begins when you're out of your comfort zone. It's true. It's absolutely true. Change is one thing that will never change in life. Okay? It's part of life. The more we accept it, it'll be easy transition. More you keep fighting with it, it's going to be difficult. So transition from you, from a student to professional, वो होना ही है. Crib कर लो, ठीक है, crib कर लो, एक दिन crib कर लो, 2 दिन crib कर लो, third day you'll get up now. So I'm not saying don't crib, don't cry about it, don't feel sad about it. It's okay. I always tell my clients, you want to cry, cry. It's fine. There's no harm in it. It's part of you. It's your emotion. You're finding it difficult. It's your truth. Live it 100%. Don't mask it. Okay? Live it. Give enough time, then get up and start walking, because the clock is not going to stop.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Most welcome. I have one more question from, again, I can't see the name. I think once you unmute, I'll be able to see your name. It's P on the screen and I can see hand up.
So hi, I'm Manmeet. And it was a great session.
Okay, Afaq, I think you are can you like mute yourself? I think you're unmuted.
He said he knows this
A
rule.
lot of noise.
No.
One second. Everybody, can you mute yourself, because I can't hear Manjeet. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Manmeet, and it was a wonderful session. So I'm from a biotechnology background, so it was a very new thing for me, and I liked it a lot. And my question is that we have a kid in our house. She's my niece, and she's afraid of a lot of noises. Like abhi jaise festive season hai, so she tend to get afraid a lot. Like इतना ज़्यादा डर जाती है कि sometimes even she vomits. So you know how, and we fail to understand that how to deal with her, how to make her understand, and how to make her like familiar with the noises. Because अभी lockdown था, तो she didn't heard, and she's 5 years old.
Okay. So one, you need to understand there might be a reason where she picked this up from, right? From childhood, I know when she would have been more younger, 6 months, 1 year, it would have taken a lot of time for you as a family also to understand कि वो क्यों रो रही है, या डर लग रहा है, या क्या है. Or she's picked up something eventually when she was growing up, 2, 3, 4, when they move out, when they hear a lot of sounds. So what is the fear associated? Sometimes it becomes difficult.
Yeah, actually, abhi to, like she was 2 when she went to school, and then the lockdown happened, and she's at home. बट अभी जैसे दिवाली होती है या दुशहरा या कहीं बैंड प्रैक्टिस हो रहा है, इवन देन वो आवाज आती है तो घर पे ही मतलब उसको
Correct.
थोड़ा सा भी सुनता है, वो अपने कान पे हाथ रख लेती है, एंड वी फेल टू
Correct.
अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट शुड वी डू.
Yes. Perfect. I understand it. And it's difficult for you as a family to see that she's going through so much of discomfort. And, you know, I get that completely. Now, the thing is, if I've not met her, I've not seen her, I've not spoken to her, I don't know what is the problem. Okay.
Yes.
So the ideal way will be that a psychologist who's trained with children to deal with
Okay.
children, who's a child psychologist, meets with that girl and understands what is happening, what is actually happening with her when noise comes. And then because she's so young, she'll be able to identify, know what is happening with the child and start the behavior training if required or whatever kind of training from home. She'll guide the family like that. But till the time I don't meet the person who's going through the problem, I cannot say much, you know, in that way. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So we had a great session. Thank you so much for all of you, all your questions, all your participation means a lot. I hope to see you in the next session on how to conduct counseling sessions professionally with a lot of my material. Goodbye. Thank you.